Hello, Walking Dead fans. How are you guys today? Amazing episode last night. Me and my mom watched of The Walking Dead, Daryl Dixon season 2, episode 4. It started off with Jeanette and her soldiers killing the other soldiers and the survivors they had. Carol ducks. There's a Gatling gun that's mowing them down. Then the doctor hands her this tranquilizer gun and other soldiers tranquilizer guns. He says a new formula he has made. He don't even know what will happen. He don't know what the outcome's going to be. And Jeanette's like, well, let's see. And they start shooting the dead bodies with the tranquilizer darts. Carol is hiding amongst the bodies. She gets hit with the tranquilizer, but she notices the tranquilizer after a few seconds starts injecting the formula into the bodies. She pulls hers out before it injects into her system at all. The bodies start squirming, black veins are coming on the faces. And they get up and they're just like a rabid pack of walkers, and they are like foam at the mouth. And Carol takes off running towards the castle gate. Jeanette tells the soldiers and some of the museum staff we found out last episode, or also like her third, fourth, fifth, sixth in command, to go after Carol. Carol gets inside of an army jeep, and Jeanette's in the jeep. He's tied up. Poor guy's been tortured. He's tied up on the jeep. And he says, hi, how you doing? Carol's like, we're going. And she drives to the castle, and the gate's blocked. The door and that. Jeanette blows it open with a cannon. The refugees start fighting the soldiers. But those rabid pack of walkers, they're like super fast. Like, wow. That breed would get the Flash to run for his money. Like, they were just cruising for those outer skirts of that castle, just mowing down people, munching on them. They were like super fast. Garrett tells Carol, go find Daryl. I'll hold off these walkers. Save as many people as she can. And he pulls out. She cuts his zip tie because his hands are bound together, and then he gets a sword from a fallen refugee, and he starts mowing down walkers. But they're coming at him fast as hell, right? So he's doing the best he can to fend them off. And never shows what happened to him the rest of the episode. Like, did he survive? Did he make it? Was he lunch? Did he decide enough of this shit and to hide till the massacre was over? Carol takes out two of Jeanette's soldiers that gathered up some refugee survivors from hold them hostage. And she tells them, head down that hallway, barricade yourselves in that door. Do not come out until it's safe. Then she takes out a refugee soldier. Big boots him like right in the face. And then she enters like the inner part of the castle looking for Daryl. Then it shows Daryl still locked up in that prison cell. Shit's happening outside. He's like, what the hell, right? And he doesn't want to be locked up because of the previous experience he had when he was a prisoner of Negan in the Saviors and the Walking Dead franchise series. A soldier runs through the hallway. Daryl's like, what's going on out there? And he barricades himself, locks the gate, and he's like, walkers, soldiers, oh shit, the fast. And Daryl's like, come on. The guy was awesome. Daryl's like, bring it. And the soldier uncuffs him. Daryl gets that mace he uses as a weapon. And he exits that gate with that soldier. And he says, take it down, soldiers, the fast walkers. And then, at the end of the hallway, there's a figure standing there. It's Carol. Carol has found Daryl. Daryl's emotion on his face was so awesome. Like, he ran over, hugged her. He says, "Oh, are you actually here?" Like, wow. And then he says, I gotta find the rock. I gotta find Isabella. And Carol says, I know where Isabella is. Then it shows Isabella. She was being tortured by the refugee leader. She refused to give up the location where the old guy for all was keeping the rot. And so he stabbed her in the guts. and left her to die while she was going down the castle hallways, bleeding out, and she came across Carol. Then she had told Carol where Daryl would have been held prisoner at. So then it basically it goes right back to where Daryl find Isabella. Daryl is shocked. He's holding her, and she dies. Isabella dies. Daryl is pissed off because he loved her, and just the emotion on his face, from sadness and anger, and Carol can see this woman meant something to him, right? So they get out of the castle. They make it outside. Behind them, the castle's in flames. Some parts of it, there's shooting going on. People are screaming and stuff. And Carol says, Gerard told me to tell you, by the way, that you changed who he was as a person because he became good at the end of season 1. And Daryl says, was he in there? And Carol says, yes. And Daryl's like, well, Carol says, we should go back and try to save as many people. And Daryl's like, no. I gotta find Laurent. That's what Isabella want me to do. Because Laurent's her nephew. Well, they go to the cave where Pharrell and Lot was hiding. They're gone. They're vanished. Daryl is freaking out. He finds Laurent's Rubik's Cube. He starts following the tracks. And they come across this village in the outskirts of Paris. At the same time, they're trying to stay hidden from the soldiers looking for them, right? Carol asks Daryl point blank, did you love her, Isabel? And Daryl says yes. And Carol says, that's why you never returned home. Daryl says, look, I was out searching for Rick. I got stranded in Paris. I fell in love with Isabella. Narot's her nephew. He says, I also want to find Pharrell. He said, you would love him. And Carol says, would I? He says, Daryl's like, picture Ezekiel mixed with Morgan. Because Pharrell, the old guy's a badass character, right? And Morgan and Ezekiel are badass characters on the Walking Dead series. So Carol's like, I think I'll take a liking to him then. So they're walking through this village, and they come across his house. Well, the outer perimeter of the house is filled with walkers. Just picture like a security fence you see in a prison, but it's lined up with walkers. This old couple, Phil and did the D-I-D-I-D-D. I'm going to call it D-D. They come out of the house, and so they don't come out of the house. Daryl and Carol kick open the door, and Daryl's like, what the hell is going on in here? And then it's the old couple sitting there eating lunch. And Dee Dee says, well, you must be Dixon. You must be Isabella. And Carol was like, no, I'm Carol, but that's Dixon. How do you know his name? And Isabella, she said, Pharrell and Laurent was here a few days ago. We let them eat, stayed here, then left them on the way. And Daryl says, do you know where they were going? And the old guy, Theo, said, Pharrell was taking Laurent deeper into Paris. He knew of a place that was safe, that the soldiers would never go to keep them safe. I give them a vehicle to continue on the journey with. He said, I'll give you out a vehicle, but there's a catch. I don't like people, he said, showing up here and stealing my cars. Apparently, in Paris back in the day for the Walker Apocalypse happened, people were stealing this guy's cars. So he said, I take batteries and car parts and I give it to my friend that's further up in the village. So he said, if you want a car, stay here for the night. The next day, I'll take you to get the car parts. As they're staying the night, Carol hugs Daryl. He's still emotional over losing Isabella. And she hands him a gift. And Daryl says, what is it? She says, it's from Judith, Rick's daughter. And he opens it up, and it's a wooden carved angel. And on the back of the wings look just like Daryl's winged vest. And Daryl starts crying. And Carol says, will you ever go and come back to Alexandria, the Commonwealth, to your loved ones and family that missed you? And Daryl says, I was coming back, but I couldn't leave these people here to fight these soldiers and what they were doing, experimenting on people, turning them into walkers, he said, without taking care of them first, and I found love and all this. They would come with me. And Carol says, just to let you know, Judith needs you more than ever. She missed you a lot, and she said she even told Carol that she always thought of Daryl ever since Rick left the show, and Daryl took care of Judith, and that helping Michonne take care of her. That she kind of pictures Daryl now as a father figure. So when Carol says that, that shows right there when Carol left Alexander Commonwealth, Rick and Michonne wasn't there. When they returned on their spinoff series earlier this year, they weren't. Carol wasn't there to greet them, right? So Daryl says, "I'm going back with you," and Carol says, "Well, it's a good thing I got a guy named Ash hiding out in Paris, and he's got a plane." So Daryl says, "What we gotta do is find the rot, and the old guy, and get on that plane and get out here." And Carol says, "What about the other refugee survivors?" And Daryl says, "Well, honestly," he said, "Jeanette probably killed them all." Right? So the next day, Daryl, Carol take Theo down the rest of the village, outskirts of the village. And he's in a wheelbarrow, and Daryl's just dragging him along, carrying him along in the wheelbarrow. That was funny. And Theo's like waving to these walkers. And Daryl's like, "Do you know these people?" Like, "Well, yeah, that's my neighbor George." "Hello, neighbor, how's it going?" And all this. And he says, "They're harmless. I got them trapped in there so they can't get out and attack people." Daryl says, "Okay." So they get the car parts, they head back to the old couple's house. Daryl's got the car fixed up with Theo's help. Suddenly, soldiers show up. And Theo and Dee Dee tell them to hide in the vehicle. And they talk to the soldiers, they give them food, and the soldiers leave. And Daryl says, "Did you tell them anything?" And Theo says, "No, but they come here from time to time, asking information about survivors, and that, like, the people that were living in the castle that was fighting against the soldiers." He said, "They leave us alone." He said, "We give them food, and they go on the way. Before you leave to go find your friends, how about you have some dinner with us?" So they're in the house eating dinner. Suddenly the soldiers return. Jeanette's with them. Carol knows right there, and she's like, "You son of a bitch, you betrayed us." And Daryl says, "What the hell?" And the old couple is like, "Well, we give them food and they leave us alone, but in return, if we find survivors that's against them, we keep them here until they come back and take them." Well, Jeanette comes in the house, but before she gets in the house, Dee Dee, the old lady's like, "I've had enough of this. Honestly," she said. She tells Carol, "Daryl, there's a back door in the basement. Go down the basement, there's a back door, get out here." And her husband's like, "What the hell are you doing?" She's like, "I'm done. I'm done being Jeanette's little I forget how she put it, but it was funny." Jeanette enters the house. She sits down at the kitchen table and she says, "So where's Dixon and this Carol lady?" I'm like, "Oh, they left a few days ago." And she says, "Well, that's funny because you got 4 plates set up here." And Theo says, "Oh, it's just a habit, like setting extra dinner plates up." And she says, "But why is all 4 plates full of food?" So she tells the soldiers start searching the house. Um, as they're searching the house, Carol and Daryl get out of the house. Daryl gets the car ready, but before he gets the car ready, he takes out a guard from behind, knocks him out. Carol decides she wants to save that old couple, right? Especially the old lady, because she's basically sacrificing herself for them. So Carol goes back into the house. She's like, "Hey, Jeanette, how's it going?" And she just fires off shotgun rounds, taking out soldiers. Jeanette takes cover, runs up the stairs, and during the gunfight, the old lady Dee Dee gets shot. She dies. Theo is upset. Carol chases Jeanette up the stairs, but she's surrounded. Jeanette tells her soldiers, "Take care of her. I'll go find Dixon." Dixon's behind her, shoots her with one of those tranquilizer gun things. Jeanette becomes one of those fast walkers, but then they dispose of her. They take her out. So Jeanette's dead. The leader, the main villain of this series, is dead on episode 4. Isabella, which was like Daryl's love interest, is dead as well in this episode. Two shocking two shockers right there. The episode ends with Daryl and Carol leaving. The old guy doesn't want to go with them. So they help him bury his wife's body. And he wishes him well and on the way. And then Daryl says, look, one thing left to do. And Carol says, we're going to that army base. And that's how the episode ends. So, they're going to the army base that Jeanette has the remaining soldiers at. And the doctors are experimenting on people, turning them into walkers and stuff. Experimental walkers. So, they're going to go there because, A, they're going to take out the rest of the soldiers and that and free the people. Two, knowing now that the old couple were keep survivors there until the soldiers came and take them, they put two and two together. They know that Farrell and Laurel have been taken prisoner. They're at that base because that's their main base of operations. The credits roll, and then a little Easter egg is shown. Well, not really Easter egg. Two things happen. One, it shows the refugee leader. And the refugees. Some of them have survived the slaughter of Jeanette's soldiers there. And one of the soldiers says, Jeanette's dead. They found out she's dead. She says, I'm in charge now. And she says, for years we have fought each other. And the refugee leader's like, where you getting at? She says, we should reunite forces, take out Dixon and Carol, take out anyone that doesn't want to be involved in this new regime. And then the refugee says, well, if we can find the Raw, we can all be safe. Then he explains to them about how the Raw is immune to the walkers, believes he's the chosen one of this prophecy. And that if they inject themselves with his blood, they'd be safe to walk around amongst the walkers. So now the refugees are bad, and the soldiers are left and now join forces. That's not good. Then it shows scenes for next week. Daryl asks Carol, by the way, who returned? And you know what Carol says? No one. I lied. And Daryl looks at her. She says, no one returned to Alexandria. Alexandria Commonwealth is showing the scene. She says, everybody's safe. Everybody's living peacefully. That's what I'm afraid of. I got a gut feeling something's coming. Somebody's coming to take away what we have built in the Commonwealth of Alexandria. That's why I've come to get you back. We're going to need you. Then it shows the setup preview for the Walking Dead, Dead City, where Negan and Maggie are in New York City. Negan has shown the clips of this upcoming season. He's a heel. He's gone back to being badass Negan. But not badass good Negan, badass bad Negan. So I'm thinking maybe he's gonna get, because I read online that Jensen Ackles that played Dean Winchester, he's coming on the show as a savior. He's gonna be Negan's second in command apparently. I've also read online that Negan's gonna reform the Saviors in New York City. He's gonna go back to the Commonwealth of Alexandria and get back his vengeance for what happened in the Walking Dead series franchise seasons. And maybe that's what Carol referred to, that she feels somebody bad's coming to take away all they have built. And that'd be a cool way to end it, honestly, with Negan going back to being bad. Reforming the Saviors, Daryl coming back with Carol, and then they have to fight them. But then now we know Rick and Michonne's back in Alexandria Commonwealth. But see, the time jump, right? So when Negan and Maggie left to go to New York City to save Maggie's son, Herschel, from this ragtag group of people that attacked the hilltop and stuff. I never really watched that series, so I don't know what happened yet. But what I gather is that's why they're going to New York City. And then all this, so I'm thinking maybe Rick and Michonne hasn't arrived yet at all until they wrap up this season 2 of the Daryl show, and then they're gonna wrap up the Negan Maggie season 2 of Dead City. And then I think what I read online is they're gonna have one see one more spin-off season where everything's wrapped up completely. I hope Rick and Michonne are there, honestly, when Daryl shows up with Carol and the others. Because, man, Daryl's going to love it when he finds Rick. But there's still one thing bothering me. Who the hell is this stranger that has trained these refugees and nuns to fight badass like, right? They gotta show who this person is that they've been talking about that showed up. I'm still thinking it's Morgan Jones, because when Fear the Walk did end it, he left to go back to Alexandria in the Commonwealth, but he was way off in Texas, right? So he's got a long journey to get back there. So maybe he came to Paris and he's the one that trained him, because I find it ironic that the refugees are trained to use the wooden staffs the same way Morgan Jones uses his weapon in the show. So I'm still saying it's Morgan Jones that's the mystery person that trained them. And along their journey, they're going to meet up with Morgan, which would be pretty cool as well, because Morgan's like a great friend of Rick's throughout the years. There you have it, folks. Badass episode. Isabella's gone. Jeanette's gone. Daryl and Carol's going to find Laurent and take out the remaining soldiers and that doctor before he experiments and creates a kind of new creation. And check, if you haven't seen this yet, give me below your comments on those badass fast walkers. As those suckers just are freaking zooming through those castle alleyways and stuff, man. Like, wow. They were even dust behind them. That's how fast they were. Stay safe, everybody. Too sweet. Bye.